Good afternoon. I'm greatly honored to be here with the courageous mayors and sheriffs and local leaders from across the state of California, a great state. Each of you has bravely resisted California's deadly and unconstitutional sanctuary state laws. You've gone through a lot too, although it's becoming quite popular what you're doing. The law that forces the release of illegal immigrant criminals, drug dealers, gang members, and violent predators into your communities. California's law provides safe harbor to some of the most vicious and violent offenders on earth, like MS-13 gang members, putting innocent men, women, and children at the mercy of these sadistic criminals. But we're moving them out of this country by the thousands. MS-13, we're grabbing them by the thousands, and we're getting them out, Kevin. We're also joined by Attorney General Jeff Sessions. Jeff, thank you. The Secretary of Homeland Security, Kirstjen Nielsen. Secretary, thank you very much. I know you folks are keeping busy, right? Keeping busy at those borders. And Deputy ICE Director Tom Homan, who's going to be leaving us soon for a life of retirement, but there's no such thing as retirement for Tom. You've done a fantastic job. I really appreciate it very much, Tom. You're incredible. I know that. Oh, you'll never leave the fight. No, you'll always be in. Also with us is House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy, who has been a special friend of mine. He represents California's 23rd Congressional District, and he is very, very popular. Yes. And I just recently saw a poll of Kevin. I think the opposition might as well just go home because Kevin, they love him out there, and he's done an incredible job. He's brought it home, and we appreciate it, Kevin, the great job you've done for the country. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, Congress, and I have to say, congressional Democrats, you take a look at what has been going on and what's going on with the laws, whether it's catch and release, whether it's any of the things that we're fighting for and so hard. Now, we have started the wall. We're spending $1.6 billion between fixing and starting. You know, Melissa, what's been going on. We're getting it up. We have a lot of folks in California, they don't talk about it, but they want the wall up, and they're very happy. That's one of the reasons we started in California, but we made a lot of progress on it. And now we're going for the full funding for the wall, and we're going to try and get that as soon as possible. But it's become a very popular issue. In January, the Los Angeles Police Department arrested an illegal immigrant from Mexico for drug possession. Instead of honoring the ICE detainer, they set him free. Just a few weeks later, he was arrested again, this time for murder. So they arrested him, they had him, they let him go. Tom, you've seen this. They let him go, and he killed somebody. And it's happening more and more. And we get him out as fast as we can. We have the worst laws anywhere in the world for illegal immigration. There's no place in the world that has laws like we do. Catch and release. Think of it. We catch somebody. We find out they're criminals. We end up having to release them, and they go into our society. Now, we do the best we can, I'll tell you. We do better than anybody. And our numbers are much better than in the past, but they're not nearly acceptable and not nearly as good as what we could have. We're down 40% from those other standards. So that's really good, meaning 40% crossings. So that's good, but we can do much better. Part of the problem that we have is our economy is so strong that people are pouring up to get into our economy. They want a piece of our economy, and that makes the job even tougher. But we want people based on merit. We want people to come into our country based on merit. We're not looking to keep them out. We're looking to bring them in. We need them. We have companies moving back into the United States like never before. Chrysler's opening up now in Michigan. We have so many companies actually coming from Mexico even and coming back in. So we want people coming in based on merit. We all remember the tragic case of Marilyn Ferris in California, who was murdered by an illegal immigrant who had been arrested 6 times prior to breaking into Marilyn's home, raping her and savagely beating her to death with a hammer. And this is one example, but there are many examples. I've been saying it for a long time. We cannot let this butchery happen in America. The state of California's attempts to nullify federal law have sparked a rebellion by patriotic citizens who want their families protected and their borders secured. They want border security. They want protection. That's what we're all about. We're about protection, both from international and from, frankly, people crossing a border illegally. I will now go around the room and ask these incredible mayors and officials to discuss their brave stand on behalf of their constituents. They are very popular. They are very well respected. These are the top people. And they are people that other people listen to. And they listen to them from around the country. So I'll begin by asking California Assemblywoman Melissa Melendez, and you have been an inspiration to a lot of people, Melissa. So maybe you could say a few words and we'll go right around the room, okay?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
I just want to start off by saying, on behalf of everyone here, thank you for inviting us. There are more people in California, I think, than you know, who support what you're doing, who believe in your agenda in securing our borders. Everywhere in between, from San Francisco to Los Angeles, you have millions of people who want to see that our borders are secure and that our neighborhoods are safe. So we want to thank you for what you're doing. I have been in office in California for 5 years now, and it's interesting to me that you've been in office for a year, almost?
17, 17 months.
So
17 years would be nice.
But you have invited us here to talk about this issue. I've been in office in California for 5 years. Not once has Governor Brown invited any Republican to discuss this issue in California, and it is a crisis. That's the point we're at in California. It's a crisis. So for me and my constituents, and those are Democrats and Republicans and independents alike, because I get emails from all of them, they don't want to see another Kate Steinle. That's what I hear every single week. They don't want to see another Kate Steinle. So when my husband and I talk about this issue, we have 37 years of service between the two of us. We both served in the Navy. That's where we met. We know a lot about what it takes to protect our way of life, what it means to protect other people, but we want to make sure that our citizens are protected. And I think the resistance that started in the Democrat Party, this is your Republican resistance right here against what they're doing in California.
And beyond Republican. I mean, this has really become a Democrat issue, a Republican issue. I think a lot of the Democrat politicians don't understand what's going on because it's actually good politically. People want safety. Yep. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sam, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am a proud immigrant here from Lebanon. 30 years ago, I came here to live the American dream, and we did well. Jerry Brown wants to take this American dream from us. I see myself.
He'll be retired pretty soon.
I hope so.
End of the year. End of the year.
Somebody said he's going to run for president. I said, please run. But no, I think he's going to be retired, from what I understand, pretty soon.
I see myself fighting for these values that made our country great, Mr. President. We are aligned with your goals. Here's the success story of Escondido. When I was elected mayor in 2010, I made the agreement with ICE. We brought 8 ICE agents to Escondido, to our police station. Since then, we deported over 2,700 illegal criminals from our city and made Escondido as safe as it was in 1980. This is a great success story, and our cooperation with ICE and the San Diego ICE is a very compelling model for the nation to follow. In our city, more immigrant people report crime, and this narrative that sanctuary city will allow more immigrants to report crime is fake news, Mr. President.
Fake news. Fake news.
We are going. California is going down the drain. It's going to be sorry, Congressman McCarthy, but California is the least business friendly, is the poorest city in the nation, the highest poverty rate, the highest taxes, you name it. Instead of fixing the Golden State and making it the American dream for everyone, they are dealing with illegal criminals. When Jerry Brown cares more about illegal criminals than he cares about the Hispanic community and the American citizens, this is insanity, and this is unconstitutional. When I sworn to be a citizen, and again as mayor, I sworn to defend the Constitution and to keep my community safe. This is personal to me. I'm going to work hard to make sure our community is safe. Escondido is a great example of our success. As a result of making Escondido safe, we brought $2 billion in investment to our city, and we outperformed San Diego County in economic growth. I am passionate about it. When I go back to California, I'm going to start a PAC. And we're going to fight the fight. We want to make sure if the Supreme Court does not repeal the sanctuary state, we're going to make sure the grassroots team, like you see today, we will repeal that. We are with you. We need to build that wall. We need to end the sanctuary state. We had 11 sanctuary cities not too long ago. Now we have 560. 10,000 illegal criminals have been released under the sanctuary
But now
state.
it's reversing, Sam, and it really got bad, and now it's reversing. It's a big change of heart, of mind. People don't want sanctuary cities. They're dangerous. They don't want them anymore. So, thank you, Sam.
Most of the people support us, Mr. President. 65% of the Hispanics support us. The liberal, the Democrat, everybody is supporting in my city, 90% are with us. Thank you.
And I'll tell you what, I had a lot more support in the state of California than people understand
That's
here.
right.
Thank you.
Check the voting records, folks.
Thank you.
I'm
Please.
Crystal from the city of San Jacinto, and can I speak frankly?
Yes.
I'm sitting here in this room in awe of God's power, how he can take someone who was homeless in a tent, make them the mayor of the city, and bring them before the President of the United States of America, who wants to hear the cry of our people, and that's what's going on. Our people are the ones hurting. Sacramento is angry because they lost an election. For God's sakes, get over it. They're angry, and you know what? Now we're more angry. They're releasing these criminals not by their houses. They're not releasing them by their houses. They're releasing them by our houses. Our children are at risk. My community is my family. You're putting my family at risk. Every day we're getting more and more reports from the police department about how they can't arrest these people. They arrest them, everything's a misdemeanor because it's not near Jerry Brown's house. It's not near the elected official's house. It's in our communities, and we're tired of it. We need help, Mr. President. We need help protecting the city of San Jacinto, Escondido, the state of California. All of us need help getting this solved. I was just at a church the other day. I was at my church, and I went over to another one, a Hispanic church. And all the people from the Hispanic church were out there. And they all came up to me, and you tell Mr. Trump that we have a message for him. We want help. You see, every one of us came from somewhere else. We all came from different countries. My husband is from Mexico. My family came way back from before the Revolutionary War, and we've been fighting for this country ever since, fighting for the constitutional rights of our country. I'm not going to stop fighting for those rights.
Don't fight. Look, it's coming back, and it's coming back fast. Faster than even the people in this room understand. Kevin understands what's happening. You see it maybe better than anybody. But it's coming back. People are tired of this nonsense, and it's happening. So don't give up the fight. Don't give up the fight.
You are our leader.
Thank you.
And thank God for you.
Thank you very much.
So bless you.
And yours is an amazing story.
Thank you.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you. Sheriff?
Thank you, Mr. President. John DiAugustini. I'm the elected sheriff of El Dorado County, California. And the bottom line from sheriffs, and you'll hear from my peers as well, is we just want to do our jobs. We want to do what the people elected us to do, that is respect our Constitution and keep our communities safe. When this bill was being heard in legislature and it was going through, we have in California what we call ledge days, where the state sheriffs go and meet with the legislators moving these bills through. And what literally disgusted me was a common term that we heard throughout the discussion of SB 54 from different legislators. And the quote was, "We know this is bad policy, but it's great politics." That's wrong, because this bill absolutely jeopardizes public safety in our communities. We're not immigration officers. We never have been, and we're never gonna be. We just want to be able to cooperate with our federal partners so that these folks that end up in our custody and need to be deported get deported.
Well, Sheriff, I'll tell you what, it's not bad politics anymore. You know, if you look at what's going on, because I think maybe more than any place else right now, there's a revolution going on in California. They want safety. You know, you had the mayor of Oakland that I read where you had 1,000 people. Tom, you know this because it was your deal. You had 1,000 people together. Many of these were illegals, they were criminals, they were all sorts of, work. And she informed them, and they all fled, or most of them fled. And that whole operation that took a long time to put together, I mean, you talk about obstruction of justice. I would recommend that you look into obstruction of justice for the mayor of Oakland, California, Jeff. She advises 1,000 people. They told, get out of here, the law enforcement's coming. And you worked on that long and hard, and you got there, and there were very few people there. To me, that's obstruction of justice. And perhaps the Department of Justice can look into that with respect to the mayor, because it's a big deal out there. And a lot of people are very angry about what happened. There's a lot of hard work and a lot of danger involved. And that was a terrible thing. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. President, Natasha Johnson from the city of Lake Elsinore. As the mayor, April 24th, we took a formal position and adopted a resolution opposing SB 54. It was based on our constitutional duty to serve. I think everyone in this room that is elected knows that public safety is their #1 priority. But we can't say that we are public safety driven and also turn a blind eye to what is happening. It was courage and maybe a little risk. We were not risk averse to step out as one of the first cities to take a position. I think I'm more proud of the fact that we were just listening to what our community wanted, and they don't want it. They clearly don't want to have an overreach of their rights, and that's what really this stands for. So as far as the city of Lake Elsinore, I think that this is a siloed approach. I think SB 54 is a great representation, and I think maybe some have forgotten, maybe especially Sacramento, about a siloed approach right before 9/11. And some of the things that we really can look back in history and see. It's going to take a multi-agency approach. It's going to take a coalition, a revolution, whatever you want to call it. But I'm completely impressed with the room and what we stand for. This isn't a fight. This is a battle. This is a war. And I know that we have a lot of work to do. This is just the beginning.
We're going to do it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Secretary Nielsen, would you like to say something?
Mostly just thanks. I want to thank you for your leadership, sir, in bringing us all together, but in also recognizing what a very important issue this is. And this week, as many of you know, we celebrate Police Week, and we celebrate law enforcement. Everyone in this room is an enforcer of the law, and I thank you for that, and I thank you for your leadership. When states are turning their back on the U.S. Constitution and their communities, you are standing up. And we greatly, greatly appreciate your partnership. I know Director Homan will give us more details on the dangers of sanctuary cities, which you're living, as do our officers and folks who work at ICE and other parts of the federal family. But I just want to hear from you and just thank you. Thank you for your partnership and for standing up for your communities. Thank you.
Thank you. You're doing a good job, and it's not an easy job. I know what you're going through right now with families is very tough, but those are the bad laws that the Democrats gave us. We have to break up families. The Democrats gave us that law. It's a horrible thing. We have to break up families. The Democrats gave us that law, and they don't want to do anything about it. They'll leave it like that because they don't want to make any changes. And now you're breaking up families because of the Democrats. It's terrible.
Yeah, how you doing there, President Trump? I'm Troy Edgar, Los Alamitos Mayor. It's an honor to be here. I just want to say thank you for inviting us also to the residents earlier today. As a previous ex-Navy guy and being able to be on the city council of a small city, it's people like you that are actually bringing the people back to the people's house, your house, our house, so we really appreciate it. Going through, I also want to say thank you to Secretary Nielsen. There's a gentleman in our community, Mark Cito, who is on the local ICE officer in charge of Orange County. When we came out, we were the first city. He came, he called right away, started giving me that bright line between where ICE has problems with local law enforcement. Secretary Nielsen, thank you.
Thanks, Director Homan.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then Attorney General, coming out first has a price to pay. And the ACLU has filed a lawsuit against us. We would really appreciate any direct or indirect funding there, any sort of fiscal help that you could help provide us for. Things like potentially putting some of your Attorney General or Assistant Attorney Generals maybe at the base in our military town, or helping us offset some of the costs. But we really appreciate everything that you're doing. We also filed the amicus brief to kind of join. We're going to plan on intersecting you at the appeals court. One of you guys will appeal, and we think that we'll have a more substantive amount to offer at that point.
Maybe we could join in with you, though. We could perhaps join in with you, because we have a lot of cases like that where, we're with you 100%, but we're not in paper. So we'll join in with you. If it's at all possible, we'd like to do that.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes.
Pam, thank you very much, Troy.
Thank you, Mr. President. An amazing honor to meet you, and thank you so much for the invitation. I served on San Capistrano City Council for the last 3 years, but I've also served on the community engagement panel of the San Onofre nuclear power plant, which is, they call it SONGS. And they, back in 2001, were testifying before Congress that the terrorists were saying target the power plants. So the fact that we have this unsecured border is putting us at great risk, because we know that terrorists are coming in. But with respect to the power plant, that is number one, that has the worst safety record in the nation. And one of the questions that I asked—
It's a nuclear power plant.
Yes.
And the terrorists are coming in alongside of the power plant.
Exactly. And you can get into that power plant with really, you can just drive in. And so I asked them actually during one of the meetings, I said, so you have a no-fly zone, right, with respect to the power plant? And they said yes. And I said, so what would happen if an airplane flew in to that no-fly zone? Would you shoot it down? They said no, and that was on the record. And so I just think that it's a Fukushima #1 waiting to happen. It's on an active earthquake fault in a tsunami zone where they're storing this radiation, which is 124 times that of Chernobyl, and improperly stored. And there's no security. So I think that
we'll check it out.
Okay.
It doesn't sound too good. It doesn't sound like the greatest, right?
Exactly.
We'll check it out. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, Margaret?
Thank you, Mr. President. Sheriffs in California are now in an untenable position when it comes to trying to figure out, now we have state law, we have federal laws, and here we are stuck in the middle. Sheriffs especially, because most of us run our county jails. When there became a legal challenge to the 48-hour holds for ICE, it was very frustrating for us. So what I did is I invited ICE to put their officers in my jail so they're able to do their work. We didn't have the staffing to be able to help figure out who they wanted to talk to, who they didn't. I said, come on in, work with our people to keep our community safe. 2 weeks later, Mr. President, Kate Steinle was murdered. Yeah. Now, I wasn't the only sheriff to do that. Sheriff Youngblood did, Sheriff Christensen, and it was perfect because we didn't have to take our time with our staff to do anything. ICE was in there doing their work in a safe, controlled environment, and then the initiatives started happening. The Trust Act, the Truth Act, and finally SB 54, the Values Act. And that is causing us all kinds of turmoil. So here we are, stuck in the middle, trying to decide. We have federal law, we have state law, and that's why I welcomed Attorney General Sessions' lawsuit, because that will provide us clarity that we need and direction that we need. What do we do? Because here we are. And I appreciated Mr. Holman and the ICE. We had a great relationship, we still do. But now ICE is the only law enforcement agency that cannot use our databases to find the bad guys. They cannot come in and talk to people in our jail unless they reach a certain threshold. They can't do all kinds of things that other law enforcement agencies can do. And it's really put us in a very bad position. It's a disgrace.
And we're suing on that, and we're working hard, and I think it'll all come together. Because people want it to come together. It's so ridiculous. The concept that we're even talking about is so ridiculous. We'll take care of it, Margaret.
Thank you. There could be an MS-13 gang member I know about. If they don't reach a certain threshold, I cannot tell ICE about them.
Yeah. We have people coming into the country, or trying to come in. We're stopping a lot of them. But we're taking people out of the country. You wouldn't believe how bad these people are. These aren't people. These are animals. And we're taking them out of the country at a level and at a rate that's never happened before. And because of the weak laws, they come in fast, We get them, we release them, we get them again, we bring them out. It's crazy. The dumbest laws, as I said before, the dumbest laws on immigration in the world. So we're going to take care of it, Margaret. We'll get it done. We're going to ask that man right there because that man can do it. Right now he's the most important man in the room. Kevin can do it. Kevin, please.
Well, first of all, I want to thank all of you because most people around the country do not realize how your hands are tied behind your back. The only thing you want to do is to have safe streets, safe neighborhoods, and protect your communities. And for California legislature to go against the Constitution, one of the greatest strengths of this nation, we're fortunate to be in this room, is the rule of law. They are breaking down society by breaking down the rule of law. That you have a known criminal that you can't communicate with ICE about. We know how bad this is, but from one aspect, we should be excited because we have a new president that understands this problem. Since he has taken office, we have lowered the illegal crossings across this border. That stops gang members from coming across. He has started building the wall, $1.6 billion. And you know where that wall is starting to be built? In California. He has pushed a number of bills through. One, to try to stop sanctuary cities. To reward those who uphold the Constitution. Second, to stop the MS-13 gang members. And you know what's interesting after you move that bill? A governor of New York, Mr. Cuomo, who thought that wasn't a problem, I saw him sign one similar just the other day because he watched what was happening as well. So collectively, it was city councils and sheriffs. City council, not your full-time job, but you listened to your community. You saw the problem that was going on. So things are improving. And that's why I'm so thankful for this president to call us together, because collectively we'll be stronger. Secretary is doing an amazing job. I'll tell you the number of times we meet or call at all hours of night trying to make sure she can protect it. Attorney General just talked to me last night around 10 o'clock. And so from that perspective, we are in this together, but we're in it for the Constitution. We're in it for the security and the safety of our streets. And I thank you for leading the charge.
Well, we want to thank you, Kevin. You have done an incredible job. And you're sort of going against the tide, but now the tide's sort of with us because you see it in the room. I mean, a year ago, 2 years ago, this would have been unthinkable to have you all in the room talking the way we're talking. But you're fed up with what's happening. And Kevin, thank you very much. You're doing really great. Stacy.
Thank you very much. I just want to say thank you for your leadership in your office and on this issue. I am delighted and privileged to be here, and it is so wonderful to be here among all of you as well, because you're all on the front lines in your own communities fighting this fight. I was born and raised in California, been an attorney there for 24 years, got my start in the law when 3 strikes was starting out in California, and developed a real passion for prosecution. I was the appointed district attorney, and I've been the elected district attorney now for 4 years. And in the last 4 years, I have seen California become a disaster. It's been tragic to watch my state pass laws that basically have sent our communities into a very dangerous place. In Lassen County, we're a very small community. But I'm pleased to say, when you're talking about voting, that you have supporters in California. Lassen County voted overwhelmingly for you in California. I believe we had the highest margin in all the 58 counties in California. You are loved in Lassen County. And I believe that to a certain extent, we are sort of a forgotten part of California. We are rural California, and we do not stand for the policies in Sacramento. We have a horrible problem in our public lands, in our forests. We've got illegals, drug cartels that have come up to grow on our public lands and in our forests, and they are decimating it. They are killing wildlife. There is not a thing we can do. We work with the Department of Fish and Wildlife, who file charges, that do the best that they can, but these people are coming into our forests. They're endangering our citizens. They are armed. They're setting up camps, and they're growing mass amounts of marijuana on our public lands. They are killing wildlife, they're diverting streams. The damage that they're causing both to the economy and to our public lands is going to be generational. A large portion of these people that are coming in to do this are illegal immigrants. Because of the legalization of marijuana in California, now we're seeing those same individuals working with other criminal groups, the Asian groups, the Russian groups, the motorcycle groups, all kinds of organized crime. It's bringing into rural California.
Made it worse?
The legalization made it worse, yes. I believe the legalization made it worse. I've been appalled. As a district attorney, someone who's sworn to uphold the Constitution and the laws of the state, that we have fallen so far in California. We also have other issues. We are prosecuting an illegal immigrant right now who has been deported several times and has had a violent criminal history, who hit and killed a 16-year-old kid, a boy in our community, and fled the scene. So his case is pending right now. After I brought the suit, I was promptly served with a gag order to prevent me from talking about the case. It's been very frustrating. Also, I've received correspondence, and I know that every DA's office in California has received correspondence from the ACLU and their affiliate organizations pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act and the California Public Information Act, wanting to know what policies, we want to see what policies your office is implementing. What have you done to ensure compliance with SB 54? Well, the response from my office was very simple. We have nothing, because this office will stand for the rule of law. Lassen County stands for the rule of law, and we have no policies to give you because we will not issue such policies from this desk and from this office. We stand with you. We are delighted with the actions that you have taken, Mr. Sessions. The people of Lassen County stand with you. I stand with you. And we appreciate everything that you're doing.
Yep. Thank you, Stacey.
You're welcome.
Beautifully said. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Tom?
First of all, Mr. President, I want to thank you for having this meeting today, this roundtable. We appreciate your leadership on this issue. The Secretary, I appreciate your leadership and how you support law enforcement and the rule of law. And AG, I can't say enough good things about what you've done for law enforcement. You know, I hear a lot of things today about sanctuary cities and the wall. I'm not the smartest guy at this table by any means, but sanctuary cities, they want to take the Attorney General on and get their funding, even though they violate federal law to keep criminal aliens in. But they don't want a wall to keep them out. To me, that's just backwards. And I want to talk, I just want to spend a minute separating fact from fiction, please. I hope the American people can understand the fight about sanctuary cities. And I appreciate the American patriots in this room that have joined this fight, which is a good fight, it's a right fight. The intentional mismessaging of sanctuary cities and what they do. I hear they protect immigrant communities, and they don't. It's a complete opposite. When you release a criminal alien from a jail, they're going to go to the very communities in which they live and reoffend. Anybody can Google recidivism rates. Over half reoffend the first year against the very immigrant communities in which they live. So you're not protecting the immigrant community, you're putting them at greater risk of crime. And when you force an ICE agent, where you can take someone, the custody of somebody in the safety and security of county jail and force it in the neighborhoods, you put our officers at risk. You already put the public at risk. And we're going to find others who weren't even on our radar. So you put the community at greater risk of crime, you put them at greater risk of ICE arrest, and you put the heroes, the law enforcement officers, at great risk. This is National Police Week, as said earlier, and I want to talk about the messaging, the mismessaging from some of these groups and some of these politicians about what ICE does. When you read that, you know, sanctuary cities protect immigrant communities, but also we don't want to be commandeered, we don't want to be ICE agents. We have never asked anybody to be an ICE agent. We don't want any law enforcement officers to be an ICE agent. What we want is access to a county jail to talk to somebody that we know is here illegally in violation of federal law that committed yet another crime. You can't tell ICE to prioritize criminal aliens and not give me access to the jail. It just don't make sense. And the final point I want to make, in defense of the brave men and women of the Border Patrol and ICE, I'm tired, I'm sick and tired of the constant vilification of these men and women who leave their home every day and strap a gun to their hip, leave the safety and security of their families to defend this nation and to defend their neighborhoods. When you have a congressman standing in front of the ICE office in New York City and call us the Gestapo, comparing what we do to war crimes. When you got a congressman who said, quote, the cowardly acts of ICE officers that terrorize innocent immigrant communities. ICE does more to protect the immigrant community than any politician ever has done. We arrested several 100,000 criminals, removed them from the streets. For those people who want to keep vilifying the men and women who took a sworn oath, who are enforcing the laws enacted by you, Congress, the next time you think about vilifying the men and women of ICE, I want you to do what I did this week. I want you to go to the National Law Enforcement Wall. I want you to walk that wall and read the names on that wall. Over 400 Border Patrol agents and ICE officers whose hearts stopped beating, defending this nation. It's a dishonor to these men and women who gave the ultimate sacrifice to vilify the men and women that carried badge and gun. So think twice before you do it. And as far as the hate that I take for defending the men and women of ICE and the Border Patrol, that will stop the day my heart starts to beat. Then it won't end. And even though I may be retiring soon, this fight doesn't end with me. I'll stay engaged and I'll keep fighting for you, sir. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I've worked for 6 presidents, and I respect them all. But no president has done more than you for border security and for law enforcement. I think every law enforcement officer at this table would agree with me.
Thank you very much, Sean. That's very nice. That's a great compliment, believe me, because you have indeed worked for 6, and all 6 respected you greatly. None more than me. Thank you very much. I just wish you could have said that to the press, but you know, here's the good news. You have such a beautiful full head of hair. You look good even from that. I appreciate it, Tom. That's really nice. Thank you very much. Elaine?
Good afternoon, Mr. President, and thank you for inviting us here to share our thoughts with you. I'm Elaine Genoway, Mayor of the City of Laguna Niguel in Orange County, California. And so really appreciate the opportunity to let you know what our residents are feeling. But first I'd like to ask Director Homan, please let the men and women of ICE know that they have our gratitude and our deep, deep appreciation for what they do.
Thank you.
But you know, Laguna Niguel took a stance against SB 54 because that is the greatest threat to the safety of all of California residents. All of our residents, all of our communities, and that includes our immigrant communities. The siloing or preventing law enforcement agencies from talking to each other is a threat to our agents and to the communities. And our country learned a very tragic lesson on September 11th, and that's what happens when law enforcement does not communicate. So isn't it ironic that in an age of calls for increased transparency, that the California legislature wants to prevent that? So we think that all of our residents deserve to live in a safe community. And also, Mr. President, there is an area where we need your assistance with. We will support you on preventing SB 54 and upholding what ICE does. But in California, we need your help with sober living homes. Orange County has become known as the Rehab Riviera. So HR 5724 is just being introduced, and we would appreciate help with that because local control is being attacked from Sacramento every single day, and that is one other issue. Okay, thank you. All right,
Thank you very much.
Appreciate that.
Steve Miller, would you like to say something?
Just what an honor it is to be able to work for a president who has the backs of our law enforcement officers. Everything you're doing every day is saving so many lives all across this country, and it's just an endless honor to be a part of it in even any of the small ways. So thank you, sir.
Great job you did.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. It's an honor to be here. I'm Kristen Gaspar, representing the largest county here today, San Diego County. I have 3.5 million constituents that I'm responsible for their public safety. If you look around this room, your tiny but mighty team, this is what Governor Brown classifies as low-life politicians. Well, here we are. You've heard about the problems, you've heard about the statistics, and I could have thought of a million things to say to you. I have a stack of 3,000 emails in my office These are the emails that have come in, thank yous, people supporting what we're doing. And I have a tiny little stack of less than 50 where people are very upset with what we're doing in San Diego.
How's the wall going?
It's going. It's going.
We're getting built, right? They wanted it so badly. San Diego, they wanted it so badly. And I said, you know, if we build it, we will lose a big constituency because there won't be anybody saying we want the wall. But we had to build it. So I know they're very happy about it.
Well, and I'd like to share with you a story because sometimes humanizing the issue is really important. And a family reached out to me. And I brought with me one single photo on that plane since the stack of 3,000 emails was a little difficult to carry. But that photo was the last photo taken of 27-year-old Alexander Mason, who was gunned down by an illegal immigrant who had previously been deported. Now, as his family picks up the pieces of their lives that have been shattered, his killer lives openly and freely in a Tijuana motel. Now, it's really interesting what's happening in San Diego with our borders because we've created a situation where Governor Brown makes San Diego a great place to commit a crime because you have options. You can either be across the border in a matter of minutes and shielded by Mexico, or you have the option of simply staying put, shielded by Governor Moonbeam. So there are options, but there are real consequences for what's happening. And my heart just broke talking to Mr. Mason about his son. And he described his son dying like a filthy rat in a parking lot, while this killer gets to just live freely in Mexico and being robbed of ever having the opportunity to have grandchildren. Now, he said something that stuck with me. He said, you know, my son, he was a true patriot. He was a wonderful human being, an exemplary citizen, lost because of the problem at our border. So this case and so many others, these are the faces. This is what we're fighting for. And we're all in because we're going to fight to protect our public safety, and we are going to speak freely about this issue until we can look back at our own children and guarantee their safety in our community. Thank you for your advocacy.
Well, thank you very much. And do you find Mexico helps or does nothing for us?
Mexico does not help with cases like this because it will take years.
Mexico does nothing for us. They do nothing for us.
And this family will
Mexico talks, but they do nothing for us, especially at the border. Certainly don't help us much on trade, but especially at the border, they do nothing for us. Jeff, thank you very much. Jeff?
Mr. President, it's great to be with you. I want you to know that the President has made clear to all of us that we have to do better. We are going to do better. Our department, we're reviewing everything we're doing. We're going to probably have twice as many prosecutions, add a whole bunch of judges, and do the things that we can to move this agenda forward. But I want to tell you, in my opinion, having been here in a lot of battles over this issue, this year, Kevin, and I know you and I were talking about it, could be the year. This is the year that we have to move Congress. I've always said Congress will pass anything as long as it doesn't work. If you come up with a bill that will actually improve our sheriffs and our ICE officers and Border Patrol officers' ability to do their job, to deport people who've entered illegally, then they object and we seem to come up short. This time, let's don't come up short. We've got a leader. He can articulate this message effectively, and if we all get behind our leader, we'll get something done this year that's historic.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you very much.
Hi, Mr. President. Ray Grangoff, Deputy with the Orange County Sheriff's Department. Thank you so much for fighting for law enforcement. It's much appreciated. You know, for us, as the mayor said, the biggest issue with SB 54 is not being able to communicate with law enforcement partners. We need to be able to talk. And since 9/11, we have done a great job of opening up the communication at the local, state, and federal level in addressing our shared threats. And in communicating with ICE, we were able to address the shared threat of getting criminal offenders off our streets. We had a 287G program in Orange County where we were able to screen all our inmates, and some of those people that we were able to identify were people that weren't even yet on ICE's radar because they were just new to the country. And so we were able to put them on our ICE's radar and get them out of here. One of them that stands out was back in October 2016, a 21-year-old that was in jail on child molestation charges. We screened that person and we were able to alert ICE, and now that person is serving time and will be out of the country. But that goes away with SB 54, and we're not able to talk, and that is not a good thing. We need to address those shared threats. So we will reap these bad policies that have been sown. But the lawsuit and what your administration is doing to fight that is a huge help. So keep it up, and thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Hi, Julie Hackworth, McIntyre, City of Barstow. We have the longest cul-de-sac. The National Training Center is 27 miles from the City of Barstow. When we joined the amicus brief, we recognized that myself and my council members was that federal law reigns over immigration, not the state. What is happening and listening around this table of what's happening in other communities, I haven't had anything personal from the ICE of illegal immigrations yet, but I know it's coming because we can't enforce anything. Crime rate is up in California, and it's going to continue to rise as long as these policies are blanketed across California. And they're not talking to the small communities. We talk to our citizens every day. They're afraid.
We have the crime rate in the nation is way down, but in California it's up because of the ridiculous laws.
Yes.
Go ahead.
And I just appreciate, Mr. President, for you here listening to our concerns, listening to, it's going to take all of us, and I think we're ready to make the fight to California to say enough's enough. We're done. The blanketed policies across California aren't working. So we need help. I'm glad that you're making this fight known. We appreciate everyone in your staff and your administration helping and pushing through to make sure that our communities are safe.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. President, I'm Ward Kusamoto from the tiny town of Los Alamitos, and we were first and we were boldest. And we've done something that no other city has done. We've actually passed an ordinance and exposed our city to the lawsuit, as Mayor Edgar said. And in this experience, there's a silent majority of patriots out there. I'm sorry, I'm broken up. That they want this. They want us to do what we're doing. And then anyone with common sense knows this California Values Act was put in place to protect those that are here breaking the law. And the message I got from this whole experience is the citizens of our state and our city feel like they have less rights than the entitled illegal aliens. And the entitled attitude is the thing that really just makes me really unhappy. They feel they're entitled to something that we don't even get. So please, sir, we need your help. We appreciate your leadership. And I think as...
and by the way, you gave us great leadership too.
Thank you, sir.
Don't kid yourself. You did a great job.
But the state, the doublespeak from the politicians in the state of California, the commandeering, they've commandeered our police force by, tying their hands. And so that's the doublespeak that comes out of the bullies there. We just poked the bully. And I think being the lowlifes that we are, we're closest to the people. We know what the people want, and we've gone forward with that boldly. And I've asked other cities to step up and do at least consider the matter, listen to their constituents, and they'll know what they're supposed to do. Thank you, sir, for having us.
Thank you very much. Great job. Thank you.
Mr. President, Michelle Steele from Orange County,
Yes.
and thank you very much for inviting us. And I just want to say, as a Korean American, first generation Korean American, went to legal process to coming in here. I really appreciate for the release of 3 Korean Americans from North Korea.
Thank you.
We really appreciate
We're very
that.
happy about that.
At the same time, that for SB 54, that because of City of Los Alamitos, they have 11,700 people living there, and they had a gutsy move, and then Orange County led. As of now, that 9 counties of 58 in Orange, California, that they passed the ordinance. They passed the ordinances or resolutions to go anti-sanctuary state. So, and then more than 35 cities as of now. this is really interesting experience because I was never called. I'm married to, Kevin knows my husband, Sean Steele, who is a national committeeman from California. This is the first time that I was called because I was going out for anti-sanctuary state. A racist big B. I mean, on the email that you get this, and I said, oh my God, first generation, how desperate that the other side are that, they've been called. But I am very, very excited that, Orange County actually filed a lawsuit to join Attorney General's lawsuit. So June 5th, that court is going to decide we can join them, join the federal government or not. If it's not, then we're going to file a lawsuit. So we're going to work together in Orange County. Most of cities that, we came from, Laguna Niguel and San Juan Capistrano, Orange County is all with you. And you know what, people that I got all these emails, mostly positive. And then actually Berkeley study came out for 57% are against us. So for sanctuary state and 41% against sanctuary state. I don't think that polling is really right because whatever we get, we got all mostly positive ones except that person called.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you have done a great job,
Thank
Michelle.
you
We
very
appreciate
much.
it. Fantastic job. Sheriff?
Well, Mr. President, thank you for having us. And first of all, thank you for being a defender of the rule of law and for your overwhelming support of public safety and standing with the men and women who put their lives on the line every day. That's just tremendous. The great part about being last is there's not much else to say. So I won't, in the interest of time and out of respect of your time, I'll only add one point. And I know this is something that we've had conversations with Director Homan and Attorney General Sessions, and that's the detainer issue. For the sheriffs, that's a real problem for us. The federal court has said that honoring detainers is a violation of the Fourth Amendment. That puts us in a very precarious position from a liability standpoint, and we really need to be able to do our jobs without all of the interference that's going on. And certainly, I'm going to reaffirm Director Homan's comments. We have an outstanding relationship with ICE. We work very closely with them. Since 9/11, sir, we have an unbelievable partnership with our federal law enforcement agencies, and there shouldn't be anybody interfering with a sheriff's ability, a chief's ability, or anybody in this room at this table today from defending people against those who exploit and victimize them. There should be no interference in our ability to protect our communities, to protect our national security. I'm privileged to live in the Central Valley where agriculture is the #1 economic industry. Multi-billion-dollar industry, we feed the world. ICE is not out sweeping through those agricultural communities. We're looking for the people, the criminals, not the people who are working, seeking a better life in America, send their kids to school, are out every day in agriculture, whether that's nuts, fruit, poultry, dairy, you name it. That's not what we're doing, sir. We're focused on those individuals who victimize and exploit the weak and defenseless, and we should be able to do that without interference. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Adam. That's fantastic. I want to thank everybody for being here. Very special people, and we are step by step. We're bringing it back, and we will bring it back. We will not fail. We'll bring it back. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, please.
Let's go. Let's go.